Hi there, welcome to my channel. And if you are one of my subscribers, welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be part 2 of the grade 10 terminology video. I hope you enjoy. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I got my resources from Platinum Business Studies textbook. It is CAPS aligned, and as I said, it is for grade 10. Please note that I do not take credit for the information that was written in slides, as I have used the textbook, Platinum textbook for Business Studies grade 10, as a source, and I have linked that into my description below. What we're looking at is competitors. So we spoke about this a little bit just now, but there's competition and competitors. They're one of the same. The competition are the businesses, but in the same way that makes them the competitors. So the definition here is businesses selling the same or similar goods and services to the same market. Then we have consumer cooperation. This is a group of consumers or buyers that form a legal entity. All right, a contract is a written, spoken, or tacit agreement between two or more people that intend it to be enforced by law. All right, then we have controlling. This is putting systems in place to ensure that the standards are being met. Copyright. This is the legal protection of original works. So that is by the artist. They put copyrights on that item, whether this is books. It can also include music as well as company names, slogans. They can all be copyright. Corporate governance, another one that's very important in business studies. This is the practices, principles, and values that guide a company and its business every day at all the levels of the organization. Right, this one's quite straightforward. A cover page. This has the name of the entrepreneur, the name and logo of the business, and the address and contact details for the business. Creative thinking. This is the ability to think of original, varied, and innovative ideas. Creative thinking in today's economy and environment is very, very important and essential. Credit payment. These are payments for goods or services after receiving them. Cultural environment. This is the community values, religion, traditions, and trends. So if a company wants to move international, they need to bear in mind the cultural differences. So for example, I know there was a few brands that came up with this awesome slogan. I can't remember exactly what it was called. And basically it was quite rude and offensive, the wording that they had used. Because translated into the language of that other country, it was actually them swearing at them. So it's very important to keep this in mind and keep in mind the values and religions when going to different countries. Your product and what might work in your country might not always work in other countries. Another example is some countries that don't eat pork. Now you have a company that's all around pork burgers and pork rashers and selling bacon. You will need to change your business model to adapt for that country that you are wanting to expand to. All right, customers, we can also call them consumers. These are people who want to buy the products and services of business to satisfy their needs and wants. The people buying your stuff. When we're looking at data, this is unprocessed information in the form of facts. So we will discuss it a bit later, but data becomes information, which then becomes knowledge. So we have this, so we'll use, for example, the surveys that we spoke about. So you have those surveys of asking your clients, why do they visit your company? Why do they choose yours over the competition? So getting all those surveys in is the data, because it's unprocessed. Yes, it's fact, it's got information on it, but until you have looked at it and analyzed it, it is just data. Once you have looked at it, you have seen, okay, this is the age that is purchasing our product. It's mainly females. You can extract that data and then have information. Right, debt is money owed to a person or financial institution which needs to be paid with interest over a certain period of time. So there are times that a company will buy things on credit. It could include furniture, or perhaps buying things like vehicles, delivery vehicles. They might pay that in on credit, and therefore they have that debt that they need to pay back to that person. All right, the next one we have is decision making. So this is deciding which of a number of alternative solutions is the best. So for example, the decision making would be, we've got this new product coming out, a new flavor of chips. What color should the packaging be? So there will be all these solutions and all these options, but then the company will need to choose which is the best suitable option for that product. Then we have default. This is failing to pay what is due by the agreed date. Delegate. This allows another person to make decisions and carry out the work on your behalf. So, for example, I know at companies that I've worked at, there might be a project in that time. I know that there was a time that I needed to phone a certain amount of clients and check if one of the systems was working for them. So my manager delegated that work to myself and my team, and then we reported that back to her for decisions to then be made upon that. So that's the role of delegation, is having people assist you with a certain project or work that you're currently busy with. Demographic environment. This is all of the different aspects of the population. So for instance, the ethnicity and the gender within a certain area. Then we have demographics. This is the statistical information about the population and particular groups within it. Then we've got the description of business. This is a description of business is of the entrepreneur, the product or service, and the unique feature of that business. Then we have desires. These are goods and services wanted by people for comfort and pleasure. So for example, my desire might be to go out to the shop and go buy myself some chocolates because I need comfort from those chocolates. I know I love chocolates. So that's a good example of desires. Directing and managing. This is ensuring that operations run effectively to achieve the end goals. A dispute is a disagreement. Diverse. This is showing a great deal of variety, so it's very different. So let's say the company, for example, has a diverse range of soda flavors. That would mean that they've got a lot of different flavors. Then diversity. This is a range of different things or people or ideas or cultures. So I know with companies nowadays, they're looking for diversity. That can mean the ages, the gender, the ethnicity. It's good for companies to be diverse and not stuck in one bubble. Economic growth. This is a positive increase in the GDP. GDP we'll get to also later. It stands for Gross Domestic Product. It's also looking at the standard of living, the increase of the standard of living, and the creation of jobs. Effective. This is successful in producing a desired or intended result. So when we looked at improving the processes of making our sodas, the improvements that we did, was it effective? So did it give that intended result or not? Then we look at employees. These are people employed for wages or salary, especially those who are not at executive management level. The employer is a person or organization that employs people. And the role between the two is very important, and that's looked at in business studies. Then employment. This is the state of being employed or having a job for which you are paid. Entrepreneurs. These are people who identify an opportunity. They get the necessary resources together. they calculate the risks, and they create a new business for the purpose of achieving profit and growth. E-procurement. This is the use of technology like the internet to source or buy goods or services. When looking at equity, this is the money provided by a funder or the business owner without charging interest. The equity is the difference between the liability, so what the company owes, and the assets the company owns. Exchange rates. These are it's looking at the price of one country's currency in terms of another country's currency. The executive summary. This is a summary of the entire business plan. So the business plan that we spoke about before, it includes an executive summary, which is basically a short little snippet of what the company is all about. External public relations is creating a good company image and awareness to those that are outside of the business. The facilitator, this is a person who manages a task so that it happens easily and smoothly. With fixed capital, these are fixed assets that are used over a long term. So for example, buildings. Flexible. This is about being adaptable and capable of adapting to change. Form of ownership. The way in which a business is legally structured or owned. So you'll see when we dive more into the topic that there are different forms of ownership. The formal sector. These are businesses that are registered with the government and they do pay tax. Functional structure. These are employees are organized according to the function that they perform. So for example, in a company, you'll have the HR department, the sales department, the operations department. So the employees are categorized that way because they're all performing the same or similar function. Then we have GEAR. This stands for Growth, Employment, and Redistribution Strategy. Globalization. This is the strengthening of communication, connectivity, and interdependence of markets throughout the world. So when looking at globalization, we look at way back in the old day when all the countries and everyone who lived in it stayed within that country. Then obviously we had explorers that would go out and adventure to explore and discover the world. And that's how globalization started, is that they formed these communities, and that's how come we can have products from China or from America being sold in South Africa due to this globalization. And if you look at technology and how we've merged everything together. So if you think about all these countries and the distances that they are, globalization in a way is making them become closer. If we look at it, I mean, we have Google Earth. I can see what places look like in Canada. That's insane, crazy, because we never used to have that before. So globalization is looking at that. All right, then we've got grants. Grants are money given by the government to fund a business. Green issues. This is to operate in an environmentally sustainable way. So for example, the boxes that you make use of, you recycle them. That would be contributing towards the well-being of the environment and by being environmentally sustainable. GDP, the one I spoke of, gross domestic product. This is the value of all the goods and services produced by a country in a year. So this is measured each year, and each country measures their gross domestic product. Hire purchase. A system where the purchaser pays a deposit, takes the possession of the goods, and then pays regular installments until it is fully paid off and they become the property of the purchaser. I just want to thank you all so much for watching my video. It really means a lot to me. I've just seen how crazy it is, how fast my channel has grown, and I want to just thank you all for your support and your patience. I know it's been a long ride. I haven't been uploading as much as I'd like to, but I want to thank you all for your support.